What is going on, everybody? We're back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, January 18th, Throwback Thursday. As usual, I'm hyped about it. Can't wait to throw it back with one of the best crews you could possibly ride with. We're fresh on the heels of AEW Dynamite last night, which we're all excited about. It was a fun one. This one was no joke. I'm going to toss this first out to Philadelphia, head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you doing, my friend? What's going on this Thursday evening for you over on the East Coast?
Yeah, bit of a rough day earlier today, but things are back to normal, and I'm looking forward to talking about Throwback like we always do.
I can't wait to get into it. Just Throwback? Are you not excited about Dynamite too? Jeez Louise.
Parts of Dynamite.
Enthusiasm.
Parts of Dynamite. There'll be a shovel coming out at some point.
Well, either way, I am going to toss this to the Tuesday Night Delight himself on a Thursday afternoon. Shad Huda, who will be your host Saturday for the daily broadcast.
Don't spoil too much.
Secrets, spoilers, that's my bad.
Don't spoil too much, man. You gotta let the people anticipate when they see me on the middle of that graphic for Saturday. But I am here, man. It's your boy, the Tuesday Night Delight. Throw the twos up in the air, but I'm also throwing the twos up for Thursday because I don't know. I'm the Tuesday Night Delight and I'm the Throwback Thursday old head, man. So I'm excited to talk about this topic today, and I'm excited to talk about AEW Dynamite. A lot of interesting stuff happening. Let's get into it.
Absolutely, same character, different role. That's what I would say, no doubt. The Thursday Night Delight as well. I think you can add a date.
I'm the grumpy uncle on Throwback Thursdays. That's what I am.
Ooh, we got a sweet shout out from our good buddy Bobby Petito. What's up? What's up, Bobby? Good to have you as always. We got another awesome comment over here.
I call him B squared now.
B2. We
Wasn't that canon at one point.
I do believe that was at one point a bull.
But he was with Cena. He was with Cena. He was B squared.
Stop that. I didn't mean it like that. We've also got another comment over on Instagram. We got Hayes.Sandy with hello from New Zealand. What's up, New Zealand? Hey. Thank you for tuning in. I love it. We really appreciate you tuning in. Absolutely. Before we get into Throwback Thursday at the end of the show, we obviously are going to break down Dynamite as we always do. The resident old guy crew over here at Wrestling Republic ready to go. Last night we had our boss man's favorite, Ben Allison's favorite. We had Christian Cage.
Christian.
Or I apologize. Let me do the impression right. Christian Cage. We had performing last night. We had Christian Cage taking on Dustin Rhodes. I don't know if you guys know this, but his brother, he's one of those WWE guys. They're doing the thing where they might be finishing his story or they might not be. And there's a lot of wrestling going on over there in WWE. Last night, Dustin Rhodes, the artist formerly known as Goldust, took on
the name.
Christian Cage for the TNT Championship. This was an exciting match. Christian even mentioned he's reaching God levels as far as carrying that title. I mean, and not only that, his mentorship as far as the rest of the roster clearly is over. The patriarchy is no joke, and it's here to stay. At least for the time being. What were your thoughts, Anthony, as our head of opinions, my friend, on last night's match with Dustin Rhodes? Sorry.
I thought it was a really solid opener. You have two veterans that have been in this business a very long time, two future Hall of Famers, no doubt. Seeing Dustin continue to perform at the level that he's performing at his age is just really amazing. And I thought it was just a really well put together match. You knew going in it was very unlikely Dustin pulling out the win here, but like the pros that they are, Dustin still looks strong in defeat. Like both guys looked really well in this match, and like I said, it was a very strong opener, and they delivered. I mean, that's as simple as I could put it.
100%. I agree. It's one of those things too for me where you look at Dustin Rhodes and there's no true resurgence, but he's put on freaking classics in AEW. Since he's been there, his influence is apparent across the board, across the roster.
Him and his brother, Cody Rhodes. Actually, I got his
What was
American
his name?
Nightmare hoodie on right now. Funny enough. They had a classic match, one of the best AEW matches of all time, to be honest with you. Like
I
a
don't,
few
I don't know if they ever went 1-on-1 in
they
WWE.
did. Not in WWE.
That's what I'm saying. As
Blood and
Goldust
Guts.
and Christian, I don't think they did.
Blood and Guts, I've got the action figures. It was
No.
great.
I know they did. I'm talking about Christian and
Yeah.
Goldust back in the day.
I'm
I know you
totally
have the
kidding.
figures.
I know.
This
No.
isn't sold separately.
Absolutely. Okay. Also, by the way, I got a shout out over on Instagram, Hayes.Sandy. Monster shout out. It's lunchtime over in New Zealand.
So what's for lunch?
Dude, thank you so much for tuning in. Shawty had to ask him what was for lunch.
I'm a big boy. I
That's
always gotta know
classic.
what people eat.
No, I mean, yeah, no, that is, by the way, just genuinely, I'm kind of curious too. Like, we going sandwich? What are we feeling today? And also, once again, thank you for tuning in. I love it's Friday at lunchtime. It's 3:09 here on the West Coast in California. I believe that makes it 6:09.
Look
Both
at you
of you
doing
two.
math.
Talk about crossing over time zones, right? You got to love that when it comes to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. Let's continue talking about Christian Cage and Dustin Rhodes because, Shad, I got questions for you too.
What you got for me, bro?
And I want to know, what do you want to talk about? I'm totally kidding. I'm sorry.
What do you want to talk about?
Dustin Rhodes and Christian last night was fun. Dustin's fingerprints are all over this AEW run. It's outstanding. What Cody accomplished in AEW, I think, is actually the launching point for what we've seen with his run in WWE, and that's something that we have not often discussed. Dustin being his older brother, we know their backstory. I think Dustin Rhodes, Christian Cage last night was just such a box to check off and such a cool match. I really enjoyed Christian going over. It makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And Dustin's still legitimate. I think we can all agree that Christian's future is bright as could be as TNT champion because this run is unique. Where does Dustin go from here? I would ask you first. And then please help me out with Christian as far as the rest of his TNT title run.
Yeah, so that question is something that actually like popped up in my head after I watched the match yesterday because I was thinking about it. I was just like, man, Dustin Rhodes is still like really good at wrestling, and we talk about all these guys who are what you would assume past the prime age, going into their 50s, early 50s, late 40s, whatever it may be. You'd be like, yeah, this may be where they kind of dwindle off, but you wouldn't believe it last night because both of those guys looked incredible and they put on a banger of a television match, especially for the NT title match, which is the television title. And I enjoyed the match a lot. I think there was a lot of good in-ring psychology. I think Christian Cage is doing a marquee job on AEW. When we're talking about character work and when we're talking about matches, because he's been pipelining a lot of good matches on his run as of late. The multiple matches that he's had with Copeland and now we're talking about this match that he just had with Dustin Rhodes. It's we the Throwback Thursday crew. All these guys are the old heads. It's cool to see that, but in regards to Dustin Rhodes, I want to see him more of a focal point on AEW television. Does that mean he has to be a champion? No, it doesn't mean he has to be a champion. But I would like to see him do more than just be a person who comes in once in a blue moon for a solid match or being a tag team partner for Keith Lee's absence or with Keith Lee. Like, I think you can really stream him into storylines because we know that genius of a character that he's had and just being really good as an on-screen character doesn't go away. Goldust is one of the most innovative, creative characters that anyone has ever made, and it is entertaining to two different points where he was able to twist it to make it a comedy character, but initially of what it was when he first started. You also add with his element of being a good in-ring wrestler. I feel like he has a purpose within being in storylines, whether you make him be a competitor with someone who he's going to put over, that's fine. He doesn't need to win a lot of matches. He doesn't need to be the man, but I feel like he has a helping hand where he can be something beneficial for an opponent for someone. So I would like to see him more on AEW television, man. Whether that be on Dynamite, Collision could use him a lot since they're trying to create their own identity. We got other heel champions on the roster. Have a little feud with them, man. This is a guy who deserves a lot more praise than he gets, in my opinion. Like, he's been in the industry for a
Yeah.
while. There's more than one royal family, and he's definitely in that pipeline of it too.
100%. And we've got an awesome comment over here on Instagram too that I want to get into that I think piggybacks off of a number of our points. And it's from a friend of the program himself, Coach 23, who I don't want you to think I'm being overcritical of this comment, my friend, but their match is just a throwaway match. Knowing and by watching the booking the past 2-3 years, it's just that. Dustin Rhodes is a great talent because he can tell a great story in a match. So I want to attack this, and I don't mean to attack you, Coach 23, in any way, but the first two sentences are contradictory of the last because Dustin Rhodes told a good story in a loss in this match last night. So it is no longer a throwaway match in my eyes, personally, because Dustin Rhodes is able to do that almost no matter who you match him up against. And that's something that I think throwaway matches now become a little bit of a cliche trope in an unfair way to the AEW roster because the booking is more randomized than we've been accustomed to over on Mondays and Tuesdays and Fridays, right? And that is no knock on WWE, but the lack of definitive matchup, this is why, this is what happens storytelling pre-match does not take away from storytelling that does occur inside of the ropes and from bell to bell. And I do think it's unfair to performers like Dustin Rhodes, who's not in a position at his age to go on a different kind of run, to be pushed towards the top of the card or heavily in the mid card. Does that make him a hand not worth using? Absolutely not. He's experienced, can tell a great story, can always have a great match, and appear as a legitimate contender for any of those belts. But I have no issue with the way this match was booked personally.
Here's the thing, no match is truly a throwaway match. They're supposed to serve a purpose. And this purpose was to help further elevate Christian. Dustin looked good in it. And if Dustin would have pulled it out and surprised everybody and won the title, it would have been acceptable because everyone knows Dustin's history. He has credibility. Any type of match is supposed to elevate people, even if somebody gets jobbed out. Barry Horowitz's entire career was jobbing out, but it was to elevate people. They all should serve a purpose. I don't necessarily feel that it was a throwaway or attempt that was it predictable that Dustin was probably going to lose. Yeah, but that doesn't make it a throwaway match.
Absolutely. And with that, let's move on to our next subject, because I think this is one that interestingly could fit inside of that same similarly pigeonholed category. And that's not something that I want to see, because I enjoyed this one as well. We had Orange Cassidy and Trenty Locks. I love Trenty Locks. I'm a big Trent Beretta fan. Best friends give the people what they want. Against Commander and Penta El Cero Miedo, an absolute stud in his own right, both on the other side of this match. I love seeing the Dude Buster. Does it look a little bit like Hangman Page's Deadeye? Sure, but they are different moves, and the Dude Buster goes over in this one. Trent looked outstanding. Orange Cassidy looked outstanding. I enjoyed this match. Reasons? Not totally sure outside of quality wrestling. That was fun to watch. Are there things that we can build inside of this? Sure. But this is another match that I can understand going away to the throwaway category. But I also personally hold the belief that that's a trope. That's just conjecture. That's overthought and overcriticized. I enjoyed the match. I was entertained by it. Anthony, what were your thoughts?
I don't think it was a throwaway match. I think it was a thrown together match, in the sense that, like you said, I don't really understand the rhyme or reason to do this match. There's not like a story behind it. If there is, I'm unaware of it. I feel like it was just a match that was booked. Was it a fun little match? Yeah. Personally, I like Orange Cassidy defending that title every week. So I probably would have preferred this as maybe a one-on-one with Orange, honestly. It's a nice little build up at the end with, Roderick Strong confronting Orange. You know that's where it's leading. It's going the Revolution. That's what it was called out last night. I think Roddy's mustache is completely ridiculous, along with the Bucks. That's just a side note. I just think they're bad. But as a whole, I think Orange against Roddy's going to be really good, because Roddy is one of those talents that is incredibly underrated on how good he is. But like I said, the tag match itself was a fun little match. Was it anything over the top, over exciting, where I'm like, oh, you got to see this match? No. But was it a fun little match? Did it serve its purpose? Yes.
100%. And that's where I agree the most is not every match has to be a story ender or even a story extender, because we had entertainment, and then there's
it's a safe
room. There's room to extend stories outside of it. There still is. Right? The match may be over, but that doesn't necessarily end the story. Excuse me. I'm sorry. And that's something that, I just think that is often overlooked on both sides. It doesn't just happen to AEW. It happens with WWE booking as well. And it happens often enough that it's all the time. I would say I've got a really funny comment that I want to read. And it's not funny. It's a good one. And it's from Tink54, which is Trent Beretta should leave the Best Friends. They're holding him back. Beretta is a single star. Wow. That's a claim. I think his moveset sets up for such.
You know what? I don't disagree, but just how loaded the singles roster is, I don't know I don't know where he just jumps out the gate with it.
If I looked at Trent and Chuck Taylor and somebody asked me which one's the Jannetty, I would say it's Chuck. I think Trent is the
he's
better
definitely a star out of those two. I agree. I just want AEW their focus to really pinpoint more on tag teams though. That's why I would be a little apprehensive about it, just because we've had this conversation on Tuesday night. I like tag teams that are natural tag teams. I like the best friends as a tag team, but I don't disagree with their point where I could see Trent transcending as a single star, because he definitely has the talent, the look, all of that to be a solid single star on the AEW roster.
I totally agree. We've also got another comment here from AK Lucifer. It seems they have overfilled the rosters and do not have enough TV time to show the roster and give the people what they want. What I would ask, actually, question and response is, who do you think is being underutilized? Because that's a difficult question to answer. I I
I
I
can name
can't.
you one.
You got one shot?
Scorpio Sky.
Scorpio Sky would be a good one.
Scorpio Sky is a guy I will stand on that hill and down that hill on that. I feel him and Ethan Page are
Yeah.
two guys that are super talented, who were there doing a lot of great stuff when AEW was the engine moving really good, when they were, in my opinion, the way better product than WWE at the time. During that pandemic going into 2021, they were really, really bright stars, and it makes me sad that I don't see them as much
That is
Look,
a
on
good one too.
television.
And Bobby even added Ethan Page as well, which
yeah.
is a great call.
Look at, we talk about it all the time when they pull her out of catering. Nyla Rose doesn't get used. Britt
Uh,
Baker. You don't see any of these people for months on end.
Hey, and AK Lucifer added Miro, Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Private Party. I would agree with all of those names on the list. Yes.
Yeah, we got to
That
see.
to
We
me
did see Private Party
I
wrestle
agree
last
with.
night, though.
Mm-hmm.
They had a fun match.
We
Salute to
did.
Mark Quinn. I thought he looked good coming off of some major injuries and whatnot.
Ethan, they put on Ring of Honor. He's behind a paywall.
No question. Let's now jump quickly in to the Bang Bang Gang versus the Mogul Embassy. Shad, I'm gonna toss this to you. First, I'm actually gonna read a freaking hilarious comment to me. Irtaza Rabini, live with two people. Why don't you check YouTube and Twitch and all the other platforms, buddy, and do more math than that? Because you're also one of the two people, and I appreciate that from you. Though that means the world to us. Thanks for joining. Anyway,
Yeah. Thanks
we
for
got
wasting your free
yeah,
data on us,
yeah.
buddy.
Have fun with that.
If you have free data.
Yeah, well, maybe we can only hope. We got Bang Bang Gang versus the Mogul Embassy. Shot though, I couldn't be more excited. We got the Bullet Club. It was fun. I enjoyed the match. The Mogul Embassy, though, I'm sorry, the match. The idea of the entire concept, the Mogul Embassies, to me, needs to be built on Swerve's back. We need to strengthen the group to help benefit the Swerve push. I want your thoughts on the entire rivalry as a whole and how we pay this off.
So that's, you kind of led to what my issue was with this match, because I feel Swerve has a faction full of dominant physical monsters, and all they do is lose, right? And it is one of those cases where, why are people at such a strong strength on the, like, just stature and whatnot, constantly losing and losing? It makes me not view them on a serious note. Like, I really do feel the Mogul Embassy is bread and butter. Obviously, is Swerve and his Prince Nana. The Gates of Agony are a great tag team, but not much is happening with them. They're kind of stuck in the mud. And Brian Cage is a person I feel is super talented, but he's been stuck in the mud in AEW for a while now. They'll find something, they'll throw him in a faction, he'll get something going, and then he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And it's unfortunate because he's a super talented competitor. Now, in regards to the feud, they were the rightful team to lose this match, because the storyline is obviously tying with two six-man tag champions. We had the ROH one, and obviously we have the Bang Bang Gang, the, what are they, the Golden Elite, Jay White and the Gun Club, and obviously we have the storyline that's tied with the other trios champions, the Acclaim. I do think we're gonna lead to a storyline where these two are gonna go against each other and they're gonna consolidate the titles. But the way to go was definitely the Golden Elite getting that title off of the Mogul Embassy, because Jay White is a major star that you have. You only benefit the belt having him with it. I don't think the ROH trios titles really mean a lot. No offense to ROH, but these guys are not going to be on ROH that much, right? Like, they're primarily going to be on Collision or on Dynamite. But you, I guess, add more eyes to maybe want to watch it. Maybe this is the logic that we're going upon it. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that we just consolidate the trios titles, and I'm hoping that the Golden Elite gets it, because I yesterday reminded me just how great the Golden Elite are. Like, the presentation of the entrance, like, I think the Gun Club are very underrated. And I don't, maybe I just like these styles of heels that are like cocky, super confident. It's kind of like how Grayson Waller is on SmackDown. Like, I like that style of it. I think they have a lot of charisma. They're funny, and I think they're solid workers. So I'm very excited to see what they do. I think it's beneficial for them to be the trios champs. I think their faction is pretty strong and they're pretty important. So all in all, it was all right.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. And I think, again, for Swerve, that's the key. We need Swerve to look as legit as possible, because to me, Swerve is, in my eyes, the hottest act not carrying gold in all of pro wrestling.
Swerve's the best person on AEW. I'm not beating around the bush.
He is. Did
He's
you
the
hear what
top.
I said, Shot? He is the best act in all of pro wrestling, AEW,
Pro
WWE,
wrestling.
New
Yeah,
Japan,
yeah,
period,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
not carrying a title belt. Right this second, he's number
And
one.
and when you put that world title on him, he'll be the best in professional wrestling. Like, he's got that star power to him. Yesterday, man. Like, what? No, I'm gonna leave that to the main event. I'll leave that to the main event.
Yeah,
My fault. I'm not jumping
no,
ahead on that.
we'll get there. Don't jump ahead yet. We will get there. And Anthony, I gotta toss this next one to you. Next segment, we're discussing the Young Bucks interview. We have our executive vice presidents suited up like Barney Stinson, ready to go as bosses. Interesting to me, CM Punk no longer works for the company. And we're bringing that up in this promo. What are we doing here? The famous Clark Taylor saying, what are we doing here? The rest of the promo I enjoyed so much, though. Why did they have to say that? Why would you have to mention the thing you can't pay off? These are two of the best in the world, and I think the promo myself, I thought it was excellent. But why? Why? Just stop. Don't do it. But Anthony, I got to get your thoughts on the entire promo, and obviously we've discussed the link to Sting's last match. It's still linked, and it's still looking to be that way. What are your thoughts on the entire thing?
Oh, Matthew and Nicholas's promo. I have a shovel for that. Honestly, I get what they were trying to do. They're leaning into all the negative stereotypes that fans view them as. I get that. I hated the promo for a couple reasons. One, like you mentioned, bringing up the CM Punk stuff. We all know what you were talking about, the cancerous locker room, self-centered people. That man's moved on. He's making a lot of money for himself in WWE right now. He could have been making money for you guys, but you guys couldn't put your egos aside to actually make money. So you can't be throwing digs now when you can't make any money off of it, because it just makes you look petty and ridiculous. Building on that, when they're talking about people coming into the company and bringing cancerous, Matt Jackson literally said, but Sting's not like that. He's a model employee. Then why do you hate Sting and want to get rid of him? It makes no sense. If you want to make the argument of going, we're AEW originals are stars. We don't need these has-beens from other promotions in our company. Like, if that's the direction you wanted to argue, that's fine. But taking out Sting when you're saying there's no issue with Sting is great, then why do you have heat and want to get rid of him? It makes no sense from that standpoint. I still think the Bucks are the horrible option. Even if Sting picked them, I don't think that it's going to be a good match. The Bucks will flip all over the place, sell for Sting, but like as a whole, it's not. I don't feel that as adequate for Sting's last match. I would hope I'm wrong, but I don't think that promo really served them any good. It made them look petty and ridiculous, and still really didn't explain why you want to face Sting. It doesn't fit. And I think that's the big problem. If you're trying to sell this, you didn't do a great job at it.
Yeah, that to me is where I had a slight issue too. It felt more like a Young Bucks promotional effort.
Mhm,
Like you add the Chanel to the end of promo, right?
mhm.
As opposed to a promo being cut to build to a match. And that's kind of where I want to draw the line on this one, where you're like, all right, guys, like we kind of know who Matt and Nick Jackson are. Do we know who Matthew and Nicholas Jackson are? Yeah, they're the buttoned up Young Bucks.
I,
Like,
I think what hurt in a lot of ways was bringing up the CM Punk part
yeah,
because it
that
distracts from
hurt
the
it
whole
for me.
thing. Like, there's a difference between Jack Perry, for example, wearing the
Yeah,
scapegoat thing. Listen,
right,
he didn't have an opportunity to pay that off because everything fell apart. The Bucks, the Elite, there was a window there where something could have been worked out to make
right.
money off of it. Whoever was responsible, they didn't do it. So you can't open that door now of going and throwing digs. He's not. He's moved on. He's making money. He's doing everything he can to make money in this business. Seth doesn't like Punk, but he's working with him. Move on, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's
A
it's
100%.
counterproductive. I mean, you can't do nothing about it, like you said. Like it's just to get the internet rallied up.
Isn't
And
there an NDA?
it's
Yeah.
interesting. Coach 23 has a bunch of comments about the Punk situation. I would say this when it comes to that, like it's kind of over, and that's why I would be critical of last night's promo. I'm not going to be critical of a situation where I wasn't there. And
Mm-hmm.
there's like the physicality and whatnot. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily know what happened 100%. I didn't see it. I wish I did, but I didn't. And yeah, I mean, it's childish on both ends, right? At the end of the day, if we're going to be that critical,
We are,
that's
but
what I
only
would
one of
say.
them. Only one
Yeah,
is still throwing shots. That's all I'm still going to say.
right, yeah. Currently, yes, but at the same time, I mean, wasn't it throwing shots that got us all in trouble in the first place? And that's where I would say, that's a little bit like the pot calling the kettle black. If we're going to
No, but
go,
no,
it's
but you
only
know what I
one
mean.
side's fault, because also only one side currently is allowed to be passive aggressive about this
Oh no, no,
situation.
no. Listen,
Um,
it was all the parties involved, but I'm just saying, as of now, there's only one that's still
yeah,
rehashing it.
Anthony Manzano wanted me to look at his last two comments, and dude, I'm reading them, but I'm not even going to show him. That's what Jim Cornette thinks. I would ask Cardi Carnett. They're not technically related, but seem to have a similar wavelength. And
This is Wrestling
he
Republic, man. We in the same
he would
field,
know,
and you
man.
came here
Yeah,
to
no,
watch us. You ain't here.
that
You
that
ain't. You
that
talk about what
that
that man doing.
that's just what Mr. Cornette thinks, and that is his opinion, and that's delightful for him. Let's go into the virtuoso though, Shad. Let's discuss Deonna Purrazzo, the virtuoso. Wild week on social media. She got heat, undeservedly so. Deonna Purrazzo is an absolute mainstay in this business. She's so dang good, you can't make it up. Stop it. If you are knocking Deonna Purrazzo, you're the problem on that one. No question. Her against Anna Jay, this match was nothing short of excellent. I liked all of it. I really enjoyed the match, and the right person went over. And Anna Jay was featured for longer than she's been featured on Dynamite in a while, and deservedly so. The match was well wrestled. There's no random booking here. You need to have a debut match, and you need to work somebody that's been with the company for a while, and it made sense to me, and I enjoyed it. Shad, I want your thoughts on it. And is Deonna targeting the TBS title, or is it that world title?
All right, so we'll first start with the match. I enjoyed the match too. I like Anna Jay a lot. I think Anna Jay is one competitor that I've mentioned prior before. That she is one of these like young stars that they've had, and we've seen her grow continuously. And I think she's significantly gotten better in the ring. I thought her and Deonna was a very good match. I'm super curious to see what we do with Anna Jay because it's one of those situations where I've seen people in her, upcoming, Julia Hart, for instance, Sky Blue, for instance, women who've come around the same time as her, kind of transcended her, what they're doing on the card, where they are in storylines. She's had her time. She's had storylines before, but I feel like she's got the potential where you can utilize her in a good part. But Roman ain't built in a day, so that's fine. We'll get to her when we get to her. I think this pipeline matches that Deonna's had with Red Velvet last week on Collision with Anna Jay, this is a good opportunity to kind of get her familiar with the AEW crowd. People know who she is, obviously. She's the virtuosa. She is a coveted champion on many other promotions beforehand. But it's a good opportunity to let them see what she does in the ring. I thought they had a fluid match. Deonna Bell for Bell is one of the best, if not the best in ring women's wrestling. Don't get mad at me if anyone disagrees with that, but she's super fluid. All right. She's not going for the TBS title. I'm just going to throw that out the way for you, buddy. The feud is her and Tony Storm. And and I hate to do this because I love Dion and I think she did a great job in the match yesterday. But the star of that entire match was commentary by Tony Storm. And it was the after the match segment with Tony Storm just going crazy. Just her her character work is so good right now. And I feel weird because sometimes I feel like it's way too over the top where the character where overshadows the wrestler. And I do think that sometimes is the key within matches. But this storyline is good because you have a new competitor coming in, you have a marquee signing, you have someone who has a lot of stain on their resume and is a viable competition for that title. And then you have Tony Storm, who is so over her head with this character, where she doesn't even realize what's occurring on how she sees stuff with being this actress from the 50s. It's very entertaining, and I'm super excited to see where we go with this feud. My main thing is this has to be the match that they're going to do at the pay per view for Sting's last match, and we got to build to that. I think you let Deonna go through these matches. I think Deonna's first feud before we get to that main feud is with Mariah May because Mariah May, just like Deonna, is a brand new free agent, is a coveted free agent, and is a women's competitor that's amazing as well. I think you can build that mini feud going into it, make it a main stage match for a Dynamite, and then we get to Deonna and Tony Storm. I'm liking it. I think this is a first AW women's title feud that I've seen in a while that seems like it's being given the right build and time. I'm hyped for it, man. I'm definitely hyped for it.
I could not be more hyped myself. I'm with you, and I do agree. World Championship makes the most sense. It just does. It just does. It makes the most sense. She's the virtuoso. But we also have to talk about the main event from last night because, as many of you guys know, I eat my chips and take my vitamins every day. I am the world's #1 hookamaniac. The hookster was cooking last night. Come on, guys. In the main event of the evening, the hookster puts it all on the line against Samoa Joe, who's also putting it all on the line. and Samoa whooped him pretty good. Samoa Joe whipped him, he beat him up. Like he hit him really hard a lot of times, and then he slammed him really hard a ton of times, and he slammed him hard, and the hookster kept getting back up. In fact, once the match was stopped via referee stoppage in that vicious rear naked choke that is known as the coquina clutch, the hookster, he stood up and he refused medical attention. This is the guy in the future. Hook gets it. This experience is something we will look back upon fondly. This match was excellently executed. This match was outstanding. Hook and Joe had chemistry from the outset. We were looking at two veterans, not just one. And if you don't know who Hook is and you didn't watch last night, I'd assume you might as well take the time and watch the replay and figure it out, because you'll find out. The hookster can go. The moveset is deep. He can sell. Other than one spot, I had a complaint. You can't get hit below the belt and get back up that quick. I had a problem with that spot, but that's not me. That's not me. It's not me. I'm not going to trash him, because guess what? He's like a 25-year-old kid out there against Samoa Joe, one of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots. And so he didn't sell that one spot long enough. But the rest of the match was golden. It was delightful and it was enjoyable. It's what you ask for in a main event match. Anthony, I'm going to toss it to you. I know you're the head of opinions, and you've been critical of Hook in the past. But I want to know your thoughts after last night's match, because I think Hook should open up next Wednesday's Dynamite on a microphone.
The thing is that the spot that I had an issue with, and there was only one spot that I really had an issue with, him no-selling the Muscle Buster and kicking out emphatically at one, like he was Hulk Hogan hulking up. This is a move that's put away other people.
Hook Hogan.
It literally ended TJ Wilson's career. I would have been fine if he would have kicked out at 2, like just barely getting out. I think that would have made it better. But as a whole, I really enjoyed the match, because I don't know who was responsible for laying it out, whether it was Joe or somebody else, but it was a smart move where Hook surprises Joe and immediately goes at him like a little dog trying to take out a big dog. And he fought from underneath the whole time, and Joe made him look a bigger deal in that match, and he looks better after that match, even in defeat, because Joe's that good. Joe's that type of competitor that can get you over and knows how to do it, even if he's going out on top. Hook's got a lot of potential. But he needs the right opponents. That's where I questioned it. With his style and his look, I don't know long-term what you can do. Like, if you put him in a ring with like a Roman Reigns or a Brock Lesnar or a Wardlow, there's a believability issue. And it was the same thing with Joe. But if he's wrestling that type of style with Joe, maybe he can go at it with other people. I think time will tell, but I thought last night was a very solid showing, other than that one spot. I don't think he should have kicked out at 1 emphatically like it was nothing. I think that was a mistake. This is your world champ. On top of that he's kicking out at 1 for it, and this is Joe's first defense, is it not? Of the world title. He hasn't defended it.
I believe it is the first defense, and not only that, to your point, it felt a little bit like R2 Triangle for the adrenaline boost over on WWE 2K23. Yeah, right. Like you can kick out of whatever.
Yeah.
I do understand that sentiment wholeheartedly, and I get it. Coach 23 had an awesome comment here, and he said this was This match was a throwback to the Undertaker Jeff Hardy match at Raw. And in a weird way, while not being a ladder match, I see the parallels. I think that is an outstanding comment. I get that. The fighting spirit of Hook showed through in a way we haven't seen him tested in the past. And then we have Bobby over here in the comments added that Samoa Joe's great. I agree. That's the key, I think, is between the two, this match was executed in a way that just made sense, and Hook came out looking better.
You know what it reminded me of, where I know he said Undertaker Jeff Hardy, it reminded me a lot of, especially early, like Hell in the Cell, Shawn Michaels Undertaker. Shawn was notorious for just going at Taker when he really, logically, you wouldn't think he would, but that's what he would do, and that's what Hook did last night.
100%. And Coach 23 even just added, table spot usually tells a story of breaking a 10 count. Powerbomb to the apron usually is a couple of weeks being out. Muscle Buster, yeah, it ended Tyson Kidd's career. And that is something we can't forget. Very true. I could not agree more. Shad, I got to ask you, what were your thoughts on that match really quick before we get into the throwback topic?
All right, man. So I know you've been waiting to see what I had to say about this. I've been very critical going into last week where we've had these wars between Jinder Mahal and Hook. And, you know, I gotta be Team Jinder because we got the same bloodline. But last week I said this match is the focal point. This is a litmus test to see what Hook can do. This is a big time match for him. We're gonna see if he could sink or swim when the lights are on him. I believe he swam. That match is really good. It was a very fun match. I love the psychology of it. I love Hook just trying to go at Joe and just get him beat to smithereens, man. We're talking about the spot where he got bang him through the table, power bomb, the muscle buster, like all of that. There are some stuff that I didn't like too much with him trying to get up as quicker, and you guys already mentioned that, so I won't go full into details. But I think Hook looked very good in defeat, and that was kind of what I was interested to see. And this is going to be interesting to see what we do with Hook after it, because what intrigued me was post match where we saw Hangman Adam Page pop out and trying to be an ally to Hook and get him up and all that. And he's very apprehensive. We saw Hook calling out Joe after that, like that's all you got, and continuously getting beat. I think we need to see a Hook heel turn. I think this is what is going to take him and transcend him to the next level. I know that everyone likes him as the good guy, the young man, the pretty boy, and all that. Him as a heel, him as a stone cold killer is the way to go. This is the engine that is going to run the train for him to be a superstar, for him to get to that level, because that's the character that he is. That tough, gritty little New York kid. That's what I need to see from Hook. So I'm excited to see what happens. I do agree. I would love to see him come show up on Dynamite next week, cut a promo. Someone comes talk to him and he chokes him out. Let it be a baby face. Let him choke him out. It's gonna be great. Besides that, Samoa Joe, I'm excited for his title reign as well. Samoa Joe was the man. He was beating like ish down his leg last night. He's gonna be a dominant champion. I'm super hyped for what we're gonna get with him and Hangman Adam Page. But let's not forget, end of the night, who looked the most star powered, man? He wasn't even part of the match. He was just out in the barricades. Whose house?
Swerve's
Your
house.
next AEW champion. That's all I gotta say
I'm
about
with you there. And we got
that.
Coach 23 can't appreciate the comments enough because he's got a bunch of good ones. But I do want to read this one specifically because it's, if Christian Cage needs a new feud, you can have him feud with Hook. I dig it. I'm with that. Shad, I think you covered it perfectly. Anthony,
I got the feud that I want to see now. Because they were
exactly.
friends. They were friends. I need him to destroy Orange Cassidy and become the international champion.
I think I said that at some
Did
point.
you say that?
I think you and I maybe a post.
We may have talked about it behind closed doors.
Yeah.
100%.
That it's probably coming back to my mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's what needs to happen because that's the story that OC is the loved babyface on the AEW roster.
Yeah.
Everyone loves him. My fiance even likes Orange Cassidy. I need
How
Hook
could
to
she
just
not? Shout out Victoria.
choke him out.
He needs to
purple.
fully embrace his lineage. Taz, twice this pissed. Survive if I let you. Like that's the direction he needs to go.
Come
All
on,
right,
man.
well-
when Taz before you start, when Taz debuted on WWE on WrestleMania 2000, when he just destroyed Kurt Angle,
The 2000 Rumble.
Yeah, 2000 Rumble. Come on, man. We need. That's what I see. Maybe that's why I'm overcritical to what your point is. But I'm excited to see what goes on with Hook from now. And salute to Taz, by the way. He did a hell of a job calling that match last night.
He killed it.
Yeah.
And I gotta say though, it is. What day is it again? What?
Thursday. What?
It's Thursday.
What?
It's Thursday.
What?
And we're gonna break down Throwback Thursday.
What?
Sting.
What?
It's January.
What?
He's gonna retire.
What?
We're gonna break it down.
What?
We're gonna talk about his initial run.
What?
Over in TNA.
What?
I can't wait to get into it.
What?
Next segment.
Yeah.
Sting.
Let's get into it.
The Stinger debuts in TNA. We didn't know where he was going. Did he debut in the Invasion? Not so much. Not so fast, my friends. What? Not only did he not debut there, he debuts in the new rival promotion on the other side as the face of the company, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's Sting.
Where to Adele? He was saying hello on the other side.
It's Sting. Yes. Sting. Hello on the other side. I used to go 1,000 times, whatever it is, to tell you.
We're gonna get hit with copyrights.
Stinger. Shout out Adele. The Stinger. I can't sing. That's not possible. But no, the Stinger obviously debuts over in TNA. Anthony, as our resident historian, our head of opinions, please break down the whole situation for me.
Yeah, with Sting's retirement coming up, thought what better time to cover his TNA run than now. Sting appeared briefly in 2 appearances prior to this in TNA as a favor to Jerry and Jeff Jarrett. But in December 2005 at Turning Point is when he actually joined the company. And it was his first appearance officially under contract for longer than just one night. And he would tag with, funny enough, Christian Cage. That was his tag partner against Jeff Jarrett and Monty Brown. And we didn't know how long this run was going to be. This run actually ended up being 9 years. He was with TNA for 9 years, multiple world titles, a great run. You know, he didn't join WWE. Everyone expected him to join. You know, after WCW went down, he was the one soldier that never joined. Eventually he would. You know, that's a topic for another day. But, you know, there's probably no bigger star that helped TNA more than Sting to add some legitimacy. Now, technically, Christian Cage was the first jump from WWF, the major star to jump. But you look at the domino effect. You know, you would get Kurt Angle that would go there. Eventually, Booker T. Like, a number of people would go there and have long careers. But, like, Sting was is an icon in this business. And, you know, to see his run in TNA, to give that young upstart promotion the kick that it needed. And, you know, they did a lot of great things when they were there. They hit some hard times. As we know, they're rebranded as TNA, and after Hard to Kill this past weekend, the future looks bright for the company. So you know, it's still going strong. Sting's impact is still felt in that company today.
To me, Sting is half of TNA's legacy.
We got
The
Joker
fact
Sting there,
that
too.
Sting was able to paint canvases for those years
Mm-hmm.
on his own terms, given his level of talent and what he's given to the business, keeping that alive, that was during my middle school years. I enjoyed it immensely. Everything about that run, I enjoyed. Even the history, we look at the Jeff Hardy situation,
Mm-hmm.
probably the greatest blemish of that era.
Yes.
Nobody in the world could have handled it with more class than Sting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was
He was apologizing up the ramp to the
thing
fans.
to do, and he did it the right way. Sting, it's a part of his legacy. He's an absolute legend.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, he kept the competitor on his own back during that time. I don't think there's any denying that one. Shad, your memories of Sting in TNA and that initial run out of the gates, because everyone thought he was going over to the WWE.
I think I mentioned it when we talked about Sting in another topic, and I think it was when we were talking about the initial, his last match. And that's one thing I've always admired about him, is that he's kind of raging against the machine, right? WWE for most of the time has always been the NBA, the NFL, the marquee wrestling promotion in professional wrestling. Some people don't even acknowledge professional wrestling. They just call it WWE. But Sting kind of being the innovator, where we saw him kind of transcend within WCW, and then rather him going to WWE, going to the other rival promotion, it being a brand new promotion in TNA. I thought it was great, man. I think it's kind of true to who he is. Obviously, he had his little short stint in WWE and he got to touch grounds there, but he's always going to be to me that outsider that went against the grain, and his TNA run was definitely fun, man. He had a lot of memorable moments on there. You got to see different sides of him transcend throughout it and whatnot, and it was definitely a cool age of Sting. It's kind of like at the age of where we see what probably what in his like late 40s at that time, right? Kind of how it is for like Edge is right now and Christian, where he was still getting up there, but he was still in a good enough shape and being able to do great stuff within the ring. And it was awesome, man. Like TNA to me, like I'm so glad this, like last week we all watched that pay-per-view together, and it's so awesome to see them kind of rebrand it to what it is now and just lasting as long as they are, because I feel like they are one of the more underrated wrestling promotions of our time, like lasting as long as they have been, going through so many different changes. It's awesome to see, man, and it's awesome to just see Sting's career last as long as it is. Like even him, like going into AEW was something interesting and crazy to see. Like I remember when he debuted at the Winter is Coming. Like it, he's just one of those guys, man. He's one of those people where you talk about a wrestling Mount Rushmore, you gotta you gotta put him up there, man. He put numbers on the board without being in the marquee league, man. So yeah, man, it was definitely a great time. And it's crazy that you said middle school, because I'm obviously you and me around the same age. So
Yeah,
I remember used to watching that. I remember used to watching it like at 1 o'clock in the morning on Spike
no doubt.
TV on
No
Friday
doubt.
night.
The Stinger, dude. The Stinger Splash, the man, the
Shout
myth,
out to Monty
the
Brown also
legend.
too, man. I thought that guy
Monty
was gonna
Brown,
The
be
the
Pounce.
original Pounce, the original
Pounce.
Pounce. And
Alpha
with that, I
male.
will say we did have a guy in the comments over here, Irtaza Rabani, that's been asking me to acknowledge something all show long, and I'm going to finally do it. I'm going to acknowledge absolutely nothing, but thank you for tuning in and for all of the comments. I really appreciate it. It means the
Oh my
world to me.
gosh.
I will say this. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. The comments mean the world to us. The support is much appreciated. On behalf of me, Clark Taylor, Anthony Ricciardi, Shad, everybody have an excellent Thursday evening. Have some fun tonight. Maybe go watch TNA if you've got the time. Let's have some fun tonight. Great pro wrestling on as usual. If you're bored tomorrow, even if you're not, and you can squeeze in the time, daily broadcast, noon Pacific, 3 in the East, that's 2 Central, and that's 8 o'clock over in the UK, 9 a.m. in Hawaii. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. It's been a great show. Have an awesome Thursday, and we will talk to everybody soon.